welcome back to a brand new Sims 4 video. As you can tell, as always, with me sat here, we are doing a bit more of a commentary video versus anything else. And as you can probably tell by the title, today we're going to be discussing Fairies. This is going to be a little bit of a deep dive into the leak that's just been released, but also talking about some of the things that do frustrate me with EA. And this expansion pack from the leaks kind of covers some of the areas that I actually despise about The Sims 4 in its current state. So let's get into it. So it's a little bit of a different one. If you're not open to hearing criticism about EA and The Sims 4, then maybe don't watch this video because it's probably not going to be for you. But I am going to go over the pack and everything that has been leaked thus far. I also should really quickly say, I know I've worn this t-shirt before. I do own a washing machine. I promise it's been like the last few weeks, I think, since I wore this, but yeah. Okay, so firstly, I mean, I'm sure every YouTuber, and I've also put it in the title, we've all described it as fairies, but the pack is not specifically a fairies pack. Now, I think EA have probably had to do this for a few reasons, but one of them simply being that werewolves, witches, all the rest of it has been a game pack. Now, obviously, EA are not really doing game packs anymore for some reason. They are more doing expansion packs, which probably means that they've had to include fairies, like they've had to do something else to make it bigger. Now, basically, the pack is apparently called Enchanted by Nature. Now, by the way, this has been all leaked by Instant Gaming, which has basically got it on their website at the minute. So it's expected to be around 9th or 10th of July, the release date, which, to be honest, makes sense if you think about like EA's timing of things. I guess that makes sense. So to talk a little bit about the actual pack, I keep looking over there, my laptop's there. It says, bring the outdoors inside with potted plants or live fully off the land by developing the natural living skill. Now, I'm not gonna lie, potted plants kind of feels like we've already got potted plants because you can plant indoors anyway, so I'm kind of interested to see how that will be different from what we've already got. The natural living skill, at this point, are they actually plucking skills from their asses? Like, what the hell is natural living? What sort of skill is that? And how do you even go about it? Like, genuinely, what is that? Okay, diving deep into the gardening and foraging finds to craft potions to protect Sims from the occult. Now, I think I pointed this out from the description. One, because don't we technically already have gardening, and don't we also have foraging if you have outdoor retreat? Isn't foraging a skill with outdoor retreat? I think so. So how is it gonna be, unless they've completely revamped it, how is that going to be any different from what we've already got? This is the problem, EA, when you release pack after pack, is that things start to merge. And in terms of crafting potions, I'm interested to see, because one of the things that I've always said is that I personally am not really an occult sort of person. I don't really have any occults in my game right now other than like aliens from Get to Work, and then like plant sims. I think that's about it, and like mermaids that come with island living. That's about the extent of my occults. So how does this pack work if you don't have any occults? Yet again, this is where the issue comes about when EA had so many different packs, is that obviously, yes, it's lovely that there is some crossover, and there has to be some crossover to a degree, but at the same time, how does it work if you don't have some of the packs? Like, do you know what I mean? It's things like that, it's details like that. Yet again, anything that, if I do sound really like complaining about all this, this is just a leak. Nothing's been confirmed yet, we do not know, but this is quite a reliable website. Apparently they've gotten a few leaks correct in the past, so we shall see. And then the last point that I made a note of is may discover fairies beyond everyday life. What does that mean? What do you mean may discover fairies beyond everyday life? Now, I've already seen some people very skeptical about this pack, supposed pack anyway, because of the fact, well, okay, somebody did say it depends how they do fairies, and I do agree. I think people tend to find, like, if they went down the mermaid route with fairies, then part of me would rather they just didn't include it, because mermaids in The Sims 4 are like rubbish. To be honest, they're not that great, they're not that good. I mean, like I said, I'm not really played with many of the occults, so I can't really say, but I feel like I don't hear that many people talk about playing with occults that often anymore. Definitely when the packs were first released, yes, but like nowadays I feel like people don't really talk about occults that much, so I don't know how popular they are. I don't really know how much people play with them. Really interesting. The other thing which I have failed to mention is a bit about like helping take care of your Sims through like manifesting like different ailments. I can never work out how to say this word. A Apparently it's pronounced apothecary. No, that still doesn't sound right. Apothecary. Apothecary? Anyway, yeah, apparently Sims can heal themselves at an apothecary table. Please don't know. Guys, sometimes I think some words are just not made for the British accent. So every now and then there's a word that I just struggle with and I swear it's an accent thing. Anyway, it sounds like that can help craft potions for like jobs, I don't know, or it sounds like it could be their job. I don't really know. Oh, because they could be a naturopath apparently, so that's a job that's going to be introduced in this supposed pack. Cool. I mean, there sounds like there's a new world. Everything like basically as basic as you get for an expansion pack, so lovely. So obviously, as I said at the start, this pack kind of highlights some of the issues that I have with The Sims 4 at the moment. Let's get into it, because let's discuss that part of it, because that's probably the more like juicier part of things. Who cares about fairies? No, I mean, this pack sounds good. Like, this is the thing with The Sims 4 at the minute. I feel like the concepts are really good, but I do worry about the way that it gets delivered. And I felt that with business and hobbies, because if somebody was to say to me, like, what is your dream pack? Them doing businesses and hobbies was, like, ideal for me. But yeah, the way that they kind of executed it, it was basically a business pack with, like, hobbies on the side, but it wasn't really that many hobbies. It was a bit of a letdown, let's be honest. There was also somebody that did mention about, like, there being separate teams that are working on separate packs at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see which team has made this pack. And I don't know. I don't even know if that's a thing. Apparently it is, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, okay, my two main problems with a pack like this is, one is the fact that, yes, again, the occults are split among 10,000 different packs, which I really dislike. I hate the fact that in The Sims 4, if you want every single occult, you have to basically pay £100 for it. Whereas obviously in The Sims 3, you had the supernatural pack, and that basically encompassed everything. And I know I always make the comparison of The Sims 3, like, it's almost boring at this point, but I do feel like it's interesting to kind of watch the progression of kind of the attitudes of EA and like the capitalist way of thinking and how that's grown. Because like I said, like, I mean, let's be brutally honest, The Sims as a franchise has always been really cash grabby with DLC. Like, let's be honest, there's no other franchise that I can think of from The Sims that has probably as much DLC as The Sims does. It's ridiculous, let's be honest. No game needs that much. And to be honest, like, it's anyway. But yeah, The Sims 3 had everything included. And The Sims 4, if you want to have, like I said, all the occults, you basically have to have like 5 different packs to do that from all different price points. Like, it's like ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And the worst bit about it is that most of the packs just are not very fleshed out. Like, it seems so half-hearted that you kind of almost wish there was just that they had just combined them into one pack so that you could just pay one price point and be done with it. Because if they're going to half-arse it, I'd rather them make it cheaper to do that, but obviously they haven't. So that's my number one pet peeve, is the fact that in The Sims 2, Sims 3, even Sims 1, what was one pack is about 10,000 different packs in The Sims 4, which is really annoying because it's kind of like they incentivize you to buy a pack because they'll include something so niche in there that you really want, and like most Simmers will really want, and then obviously you'll want to buy the pack, just that one little feature, and yet there you are spending £35 on an expansion pack because they're including one thing that should have been included in another pack. And it's so infuriating, and I know somebody's gonna probably moan about it, but like, it genuinely is so infuriating. Obviously, if you don't want to spend the money, don't like, if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it, sort of thing. Obviously, I know that I'm a mature adult. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it just annoys me that like companies think they can just exploit their consumers like that. So infuriating. It just is annoying because particularly with something like The Sims, I'd like to say that the demographics are younger, but like, to be honest, I feel like most people that play The Sims are probably like late teens, early 20s maybe, or people in their 20s. Like, I don't actually, it would be really interesting to know, I always say this, to know the demographics of older players versus newer players, because I would be interested to know if The Sims is actually generating newer players, or whether it's people playing it like myself for like nostalgia, that sort of feeling. Don't know. Anyway, that's unrelated. I always get into little tangents like this. The other thing that I am a little bit miffed about with a pack like this is, and I kind of hinted on it earlier when I was discussing the leak, and that's actually like the rehashing of like old ideas basically. And I kind of think I said this with the business and hobbies pack, which is like, this feels like a bit of a get to work 2.0 sort of thing. Now, I'm still undecided on whether I do think it is a get to work 2.0. I mean, some simmers have said like, no, I think it does hold itself within on its own, and some simmers have said like it does kind of feel like an add-on. So I guess that's just up to you to decide. This pack feels like it could be like an add-on for quite a few couple of packs. I mean, the whole idea of like living naturally, that kind of reminds me of cottage living, and it also kind of gives an outdoor retreat a vibe. And I also feel like the whole potion thing, is that not similar to Realm of Magic? Like, I don't know if they're adding anything overly new to the game, which feels weird to say. I mean, obviously Fairies would be a pretty new addition. To be honest, like this sort of pack is probably, I'm not as interested in it, gonna be honest. I'm not really into the occults, as I always say, so like this sort of pack probably isn't going to be for me anyway. I do kind of hate that. I hate when they like redo new concepts. I mean, they're on about changing gardening again, which is like interesting because they've already changed gardening once with seasons, so how can they redo it again?
I should probably say the description doesn't really mention whether they're like completely revamping gardening. They could literally just be talking like about adding 2 new plants. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like with the concept that they like kind of said, it makes sense that there would be some kind of revamp to it. So who knows?
I don't know. It would be interesting to see how that all works. Yet again, the foraging. I'm sure Outdoor Retreat has the foraging skill. Like, I'm sure I'm not just like hallucinating. So I don't know how they're going to make that new. Like, it'll be interesting to see, because I feel like this pack, I will say, has a lot of like crossover with loads of other packs. So it'll be interesting to see how it does work with every other pack. But that's almost a curse and a blessing within itself, because it's a curse in one way, because it's like, how will it work with all the other packs, and will there be any problems with it? Will it cause any other problems with it? Will it feel really repetitive? But it's also a blessing because obviously it works so well with other packs that like if you have all the other previous packs, it kind of helps, like it's a bit of an aid. So yeah, it's interesting. I just don't particularly like it when EA do this. Like, I would prefer to see completely new ideas, and I think that's always been my thing. Like, I quite like it when EA do go against the grain a little bit and introduce things that maybe we hadn't seen in like The Sims 3 or previous ones, which I kind of feel like is why Cottage Living was quite popular and is quite a popular pack among the simming community, because although we've had pets and stuff in the past, I don't feel like we've had chickens and like cows and that sort of thing. As far as I remember anyway, I don't think we have. And that whole like idea of living off the grid and all of the rest of it, like all of that was quite a newer concept. I feel like that's not really been done in The Sims. And equally they appealed to kind of a demographic that was like really into it. I mean, I think when Cottage Living was released, cottagecore was like the thing, so it kind of fit in with that whole thing. I just don't know. Like I said, I'm not a big fan when things are already in the game, you know, and EA just rehash it a bit, which is why, if I'm being brutally honest, that was my only thing about Life and Death, right? And like the addition of funerals and the changes that they made to ghosts. Like, yes, it's great. Like, I like the fact that they've added new things, but at the same time, they're not really adding... Like, I guess funerals were new, but like in terms of ghosts and stuff, like ghosts were already in the game. Do you know what I mean? I know they expanded on it and all the rest of it, but like it's kind of not a new idea. It was already in the game. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm fully aware that some of the problems with like the new edition of packs is partly because The Sims has been around for 10 years, right? It's also partly because there's only so many things you can have to a life simulator. Now, technically, for me, I think that's probably why I don't really play with the courts much, because I play The Sims 4 as a kind of life simulator, you know what I mean? Like, I do it to try and almost, I don't replicate my real life in it, but do you know what I mean? I try and get as like close, I guess, to the real world. So occults to me don't feel very realistic, do you know what I mean? I don't know many mermaids, I don't know many fairies or ghosts that I know of anyway. So yeah, I don't know, I always feel a bit about it. I mean, like I said, this pack is a leak. We don't know anything thus far, but I'm going to be honest. They've hinted at fairies for a while now. I do think it's probably probable that we are going to get a pack like it. Since they're not doing game packs, I would suspect that this is going to be the pack that they're going to try and incorporate fairies with. My fear is that they are going to be a Mermaid 2.0 and it's going to be done pretty poorly, but we can hope, can't we, that it will be done nicely for those people that really care and really want them. This pack seems fun in some ways. Like, I think maybe they have tried to appeal to the cottage living audience in the terms of like living off the grid and living naturally and all that sort of jazz, but it'll be interesting to see how it actually works. Do you know what I mean? I am very intrigued. I do feel like the world is going to be really pretty. Having said that, that doesn't mean the world's going to be any good, but I do feel like it's going to be very pretty. Probably a lot of flowers and plants and all that jazz. Like, it's actually a pack that, as much as I said it doesn't appeal to me, it does sound really exciting and it probably would be something that I'd look forward to. But this is EA that we're talking about, so like the concept sounds really good, but the execution is, can't talk bad on it. I can't talk bad on it before it's released, but let's be honest, they're not known for executing ideas very well in The Sims 4, so we'll see. Anyway, I feel like that's all I can talk about for now. I mean, I feel like I could talk about it even more in depth, to be honest with you, but for now I think we're done. Please do let me know what you guys think about this leaked pack. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Like I said, I'm gonna reserve judgment until it's actually been released and the trailers come out. I do worry a bit about what it's gonna be like. I do worry a bit that it's too similar, but I did say this about business and hobbies as well. Like, I did say I was really worried about it being too close to get to work. I do worry that this pack would be like kind of similar to other packs that we've seen before. I don't know. I partly just wish EA would come up with some more creative ideas, but like I said, it is really hard, to be fair to them, to do it when there's only so many things you can base a life simulator on. And to be honest with you, in its current state, I don't know what else I'd want in The Sims 4. Like, let me know some pack ideas if you guys have any that you'd like to see in The Sims 4, because honestly, I don't know. I really wanted music and bands and concerts and that sort of thing a while back, but other than that, I can't really think of many. Anyway, let's have a conversation in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this pack. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about it. Like I said, I will always remain skeptical when it comes to EA until proven otherwise. I'm convinced at this point people probably just think I hate every single ounce of The Sims 4, which is not true. But you know, like I said, if you have enjoyed, please leave a like, go subscribe if you haven't already. Let's have a conversation in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are, because I feel like Fairies are very sought out, I think, at this point, because they're pretty much the only core, if you think about the supernatural pack, I think, that we are missing. So yeah, very interesting indeed. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are in the world currently, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.